Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the new episode of the Real Talk podcast. Today, I want to talk about something that might seem insignificant at first glance, but has the power to completely transform your life. The 1% rule.
Okay, let's unpack this. We hear so much about, overnight success.
All the time. Viral hits, instant transformations.
Exactly. Things that seem to just happen. But what if the real power for huge change isn't those massive jumps? What if it's something, smaller?
Almost deceptively small, yeah.
Consider this, right? If you improve just 1%, one tiny percent each day, over a year, you're not 365% better, not even 37% better.
Which already sounds pretty good.
It does. But you're actually, get this, 37 times better.
Wow.
It's a completely different scale compared to the pressure we feel for these giant leaps.
And that disconnect is fascinating, isn't it? Our culture loves the Big Bang theory of success.
Right.
But the actual, science behind growth, it points to something much more gradual. And that's what this deep dive is all about, exploring this 1% rule.
Yes. So for anyone maybe not familiar, what is the 1% rule, essentially?
Well, at its core, it's the idea that making really small, consistent improvements over time, they compound, they snowball into really significant results.
Simple idea, powerful outcome. And we've looked at a few sources to really get into it. There's a speech, the 1% rule, small wins, big results. Yeah. An article from 3 Hacks, the 1% rule, how small steps lead to big success.
Good one.
And another piece from Third Space, why the 1% rule of daily improvement works.
Yeah, they all offer slightly different angles.
And our mission today is basically to pull out the key stuff from these, show you how these tiny steps can lead to, extraordinary growth, but without that feeling of just being totally overwhelmed.
Which is key, right? Because overwhelm kills progress. This feels manageable, and it lines up with how we actually learn things, build skills. It's cumulative.
Absolutely. Little bricks building a big wall. So let's talk about the math for a sec, because that 37 times number, it really grabs you.
It does. It sounds almost unbelievable at first.
All our sources mention compounding. Think compound interest in a bank.
Sure.
Both the Speak and the 3 Hats piece use that analogy.
Yeah, it's a good one.
You make a little progress, then tomorrow's improvement builds on that, not just your starting point. So it's not linear. It curves upwards, accelerates.
Exactly. That exponential growth is the engine. It's easy to dismiss 1% on any single day. Seems like nothing.
Totally insignificant.
But those daily gains, they multiply, they don't just add up. And the speech also made a really important point about the flip side.
Oh, right. The negative compounding.
Yeah. A 1% decline each day. You end up near zero by the end of the year.
Oof. That really drives home how crucial consistency is, doesn't it?
Absolutely. For better or for worse, that consistency dictates the direction.
And it speaks right to that feeling. When you set a massive goal and just feel instantly swamped.
Paralyzed before you even start.
The 3 Hats article nails this. Focusing on tiny, manageable steps makes those huge goals feel, less terrifying.
Much less intimidating. It's like sneaking up on success instead of charging at it head on.
Yeah, I like that. And Third Space mentions how this approach kind of bypasses our natural resistance to big changes.
Right. Committing to something tiny feels safer, less threatening, so we're more likely to actually do it.
Okay, so why? What's happening in our heads? Let's get into the psychology a bit. Third Space talks about dopamine.
The reward chemical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even a small win, checking something tiny off list, gives you that little dopamine hit.
And that reinforces the action, right? It strengthens that habit loop, makes you want to do it again.
Definitely. And this connects to something called the progress principle. Harvard Business Review talks about it. Third Space mentions it too.
Right. The idea that making steady progress, even if it's small, is a massive motivator in itself.
Yeah. Just seeing that you're moving forward even slightly keeps you going. It feeds itself.
It feels momentum, like a snowball rolling downhill.
And it's not just about feeling good in the moment. That Third Space article also brought up a study, I think it was the European Journal of Social Psychology.
Yeah, I remember that. About habit formation time.
That's the one.
Yeah.
It found, on average, it takes about 66 days for a new habit to become automatic.
66 days. So 2 months or so.
So when you think about that, making small daily improvements just makes sense. It lets those new brain pathways form gradually. No massive shock to the system.
Exactly. Trying to flip your life upside down overnight, It rarely sticks. Our brains kind of fight back against that level of disruption.
Yeah, routines are powerful things.
But these little 1% shifts, they let the new habits embed themselves more organically. They last longer.
Okay, so practically speaking, how do we actually do this? Put the 1% rule into practice.
Right, the how-to, the sources had some good, concrete strategies.
The first one, and it came up everywhere, was start small, like really small.
Almost ridiculously small.
Yeah, I like the examples from Three Hats. Don't aim to read a book a week straight away. Start with 5 minutes a day.
Or the fitness one. Forget the 2-hour gym marathon on day one, just a 10-minute walk.
Make it so easy you can't say no. That initial step needs to feel trivial, almost.
That low barrier is everything. It gets you moving.
Yeah.
Builds that first bit of momentum. Then it's easier to add a bit more tomorrow or the day after.
Okay, second strategy. Consistency over perfection. Three Hats really stress this.
This is crucial.
Missing a day isn't failure. Don't let it derail you. The goal isn't a perfect streak.
No, it's about the overall pattern. Showing up most of the time, making the effort sustained.
Making it second nature, eventually. That's how you get that compounding effect we talked about.
Exactly. It's the steady drip that fills the bucket.
Okay, what else? Tracking progress. Both Three Hats and Third Space mention this.
Yeah, making it visible.
Doesn't have to be fancy. A journal, an app, check marks on a calendar. Whatever works.
Just seeing those little wins add up, it's surprisingly motivating, even if the day-to-day change feels tiny.
It gives you proof, right? Tangible evidence that you are moving forward.
Shifts your focus from am I there yet to look how far I've come.
And related to that, celebrate the small wins. Three Hats made a point of this too.
Acknowledge the effort.
Yeah. Even tiny steps forward. Pat yourself on the back, mentally or otherwise. It reinforces the habit, keeps you motivated.
Creates that positive feedback loop again. Do the thing, feel good about it, more likely to do it again. It strengthens the neural pathway for that behavior.
Like telling your brain, hey, this is good, keep it up.
Pretty much.
And finally, and this one's maybe tough for the impatient among us.
Speaking for myself here.
Me too. Trust the process. Three Hats had that great analogy.
Yeah.
Planting a seed.
Right. You don't see the sprout immediately.
But if you keep watering at those small daily actions, eventually something grows. Third Space also talked about patience being key.
That trust is essential because the big payoffs from the 1% rule, they often take time. You need that long-term view. Understand these small actions are valuable investments.
Okay, let's make this even more concrete. Real-world examples. The sources had plenty.
Yeah, think about athletes. Three Hats and Third Space both use this one.
They don't just wake up world-class, do they?
Not at all. It's tiny improvements day after day. Training, diet, recovery, it all adds up.
Or writers. You know, maybe just a few hundred words a day. Seems small, but eventually.
You have a book. Or business leaders, small tweaks to products, marketing, how they lead.
It's that consistent, incremental improvement.
And it applies everywhere, like Third Space pointed out.
Yeah.
Fitness, add one more push-up, lift slightly heavier.
Learning, read one extra page. Finances, save a tiny bit more each day.
It's amazing how broadly applicable it is. Just find that 1% tweak.
It really is versatile. And Third Space also touched on identity-based habits, James Clear's idea.
Oh yeah, focusing on who you want to become.
Exactly. The idea that small actions reinforce that identity. And the 1% rule fits perfectly, right? Those tiny, consistent steps aren't just about hitting a goal.
They're about shaping who you are, solidifying that new identity one action at a time. It's a powerful reframe. Less about the destination, more about the person you're becoming on the journey.
Okay, so for you listening, let's bring this right down to earth.
Yeah.
Think about one area, just one, where you'd like to see some improvement.
Doesn't have to be world-changing, just something.
Now, what's one tiny, tiny action you could actually realistically do today?
Like the absolute minimum viable step.
Exactly. Three Hats give those great examples. Drink one more glass of water, read 5 pages, meditate for 2 minutes, write 100 words, 5 push-ups.
Things that take almost no time or effort.
The key thing, remember, is the consistency of doing it. That matters way more than the specific action itself, especially at the start.
Find your minimum effective dose, the thing you can stick with almost no matter what. Reduces friction, makes it easy to start and keep going.
Precisely. So wrapping this deep dive up, the big takeaway, real success, lasting change. It's usually not the dramatic overnight thing.
Much more often, it's the result of those small, consistent efforts piling up, compounding.
That 1% daily gain seems tiny, but we've seen how its effect over time is just Huge. Extraordinary.
And remember what that speech said. This is for everyone. No special talent needed, no perfect conditions.
Nope. Just showing up, putting in that small, consistent effort.
That's the price of admission.
So, final thought to leave you with. How could focusing on just 1% improvement, day in, day out, really reshape your own long-term picture?
Think beyond today's results. Consider the cumulative power. What could that future you look like?
Maybe it's time to stop chasing the overnight miracle and start building something amazing, one tiny percent at a time.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time on Real Talk Podcast.